And hello everybody, and welcome to Oulu. It's 8 p.m. ish, I guess. Wednesday 10th of March, I guess. And it's minus 12 or minus 13 degrees Celsius, I guess. And what a beautiful day it's been. It was minus 32, I believe, early morning, and I did another live stream at 8:30 a.m. minus 26 when I started, but the sun went up and it was so warm during the day. It went down to up to minus 10 or something, and now it's like minus 12, minus 13. So it should be a good weather to go for a ride and check some projected traffic signs and bicycle paths, like you always do. Here's the rig, Swedish Svalan from 1937, and I see we've got 9 people joined in the live stream. Please introduce yourself in the chat. We'll get going. So we are now in Mäntylä, a district of Oulu, located maybe 3-4 kilometers south of the city center, and we are on just some minor bicycle path going inside the district. Like you see, there's these mid-rises, would you call these, 3-story buildings, and there's a park on the other side with an ice skating rink, of course. Over there, and we can just connect to wherever we want to on these bicycle paths. We've got Collier Cook from Washington DC, plus 19 degrees Celsius over there. I feel for you. That sounds horrible. No, seriously, it's fine, I guess. Totally cyclable. I could tolerate that temperature as well. And we've got Matti here again. Good to have you here too, again. And Rob, welcome again from Vancouver. I see familiar people here from the morning's live stream. In Vancouver it seems to be 7 degrees Celsius and it's 10 a.m. Did you sleep well, Rob? I hope you did. It looks totally different now to what it was in the morning. With all the illumination and all the darkness and the snow, it's so beautiful. Some street art here in these transformed boxes. And we've got Benjamin Mizrahi from Tel Aviv. Plus 30 degrees Celsius over there today. Wow. Ouch, that's hot. Good to have you here anyway. So it's only like 42, 43 degrees colder here now than it was in the Tel Aviv. And we've got Robert from the Netherlands, plus 6 and raining. Oh, I feel for you. I would so much rather take like minus 30 than plus 6 and rain. And we've got our first underpass here. Also, every once in a while, please let me know how the video quality is, how the sound is, if I'm talking too loud or if the sound is breaking or anything like that. And it seems like we've got 12 viewers now. Wonderful. Good to have you here all, even if you didn't introduce yourself. So here the regular bike paths change into a modern standard bicycle superhighway. This is now 5.6 meters wide. The left side here, as we're traveling, is for people cycling, and the right side for people walking. But of course you cannot see the markings here from under the snow. So like you see, we are riding on this thin layer of hardpacked snow, compacted from every time a tractor or a wheel loader plows most of the snow away from here. So they leave like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter every time, so it slowly accumulates. But I repeat, it's really thin one. so that it wouldn't cause any problems when it starts to melt in the springtime. I'm happy to hear that the video and audio are great. Thank you, Collier. And also Jeff is reporting the same, so thank you, Jeff Hall, and good to have you here too. So for example, here in the crossing you can see some of the red markings visible from through the snow. And as you can see here, we've got the traffic signs. But as we know, people who are cycling and walking oftentimes do not think that they are traffic, and they just go wherever they feel comfortable, which is all natural, so nothing wrong with that. But of course, during the years, people will start to learn which side is for which one, and they'll remember actually already surprisingly well to go on their respective sides. But to help them, we've installed just on Tuesday. Now I got a message saying that the internet. Let me know if the connection is back. We might, otherwise we'll just have to relocate to a different spot. And for some reason it shows me that there's only 6 people watching now, which is a bit weird. Then again, totally possible, but I guess we'll have to relocate. Let's continue a bit further. Yes, it's back now. Wonderful. And we've got Harry here too. So I wonder how much did you miss? It's difficult to know from this end. Well, let's continue to the next spot. We had our first one over there, in case you missed it. Yes, Robert, that is the theme of this ride. We have about 10-ish of those projected traffic sign sets installed, so 20 signs in total. There's 2 in each one, and we're going to go check all of them today, if the technique allows for that. So earlier today morning I had my first live stream for today, and it was minus 26 degrees Celsius when I started, and it lasted 49 seconds until it was interrupted due to an error, whatever it was. I had no idea. So I made a new stream because I couldn't access the old one anymore, and that one lasted for 1.5 hours, so be sure to check that one out. Hello. Let's focus on traffic a bit. I will go to the next location, Harry. Harry is asking me to go back and explain again. I'll go to the next location and do that over there. So this one shows me that we've got minus 12 degrees Celsius now. Oftentimes this one though says it's a bit warmer than it actually is, so it could be minus 14 now, maybe. So Harry, as Harry is saying, there is only one projector per spot, and 2 signs are created by one single modified lens. That's true. What I said is there's 2 signs per spot, 1 projector. So we've got 10 projectors and 20 signs. And Robert is asking if we will be using more in Oulu. Harry can answer that, but I'm pretty sure that we will. At least the experiences from the first pilot one were quite positive, so we installed 9 more just this week, so we've got now 10 of them. And we've got Triadi here also, and we've got somebody from St. Paul, Minnesota. Sorry, I cannot see your name anymore. And I think we had Ryan also here. Good to have you here all. Great that you are joining. And we should be on our next spot. And here we have no snow left anymore. As you see, the layer of hard-packed snow can be very, very thin. Let's park our bike here somewhere for a second. Just a moment. And let's go have a look at these. Not sure if it should be centered or if it should be like that. I think that's quite good. We've got Amy from Ontario, Canada too. Wonderful to have you here too. So, these symbols are projected from above. And so we've installed the projectors into lampposts. So it's right there under the light. You probably can't see too much of it. We've got Michelle here also. Hello. It's been too long. When are you coming over? So it's over there underneath the light. It's much easier to see it with your eyes than through this lens. So as you can see, we've got these painted markings here, but of course under the snow they are invisible, and that's why we are trying to help people by placing these projected traffic signs onto the respective sides, so people will remember more easily which side they should use, whether they are walking or cycling. And Rob is asking for the cost per location. I recall it's about 5,000 euros, maybe, or 5,000 euros per location, so not too much. Harry can confirm that also, so he knows better about the costs. And as Harry is saying, this bicycle symbol here should be centered. Then again, I kinda like it that it's in the same position as the painted marking, so maybe we can just install a third one in the same lens for the opposite direction bicycle lane here. So that would be here. Maybe we can do some fine-tuning, as Harry is saying. 2,000 euros per location installed only, so it was even cheaper than what I recalled. Thanks, Harry, for letting me know that. Yeah, less than 2,000 euros, so maybe if there's 2 more messages it's less than 1,000 euros. It's getting cheaper by the minute. Let's continue a bit further. Michelle, yes, next winter I really hope you can come here. It would be wonderful to have you here. Thanks, Amy. I also think that the projected signs are absolutely amazing. And David the scientist is asking whether they will be switched off when the snow has all melted. Probably no, but when there's daylight they will be switched off, because they are connected to the same circuits as the Illumination, and during the daylight you wouldn't see them anyway, so during the daytime they are pretty useless. And here we have a digital display counter for people walking and people cycling, but that displays from numbers now because the optical detector also seems to detect cars. Yes, as Harry is saying, the projectors are automatically on whenever the streetlights are on. Exactly like that. Thank you, Harry. And we've got 19 viewers here now. Please introduce yourself in the chat if you haven't already. Of course you don't have to, but it would be nice. And if you haven't told me yet, you can also tell me that the weather and the time of the day over where you are currently, if you want. No obligation at all. And here you can also see how thin the hardpacked snow layer is now on this main bicycle path. And Rob is asking whether it's planned to use them everywhere or just as random reminders. Well, the answer to both one is no. So we do not want to use these randomly. We are thinking about each location. So for example here, there's a lot of traffic coming from the right. You may see the crossing sign over there with blue and white. So there's a lot of people coming from a combined path to a shared path or divided path. So we want to remind them by using these signs that they need to keep on to their respective sides. But at the same time, we do not want to put them everywhere, because that's just we've got 943 kilometers of bicycle paths. Okay, most of them are not divided, but even to all of the divided ones, it would be quite expensive. We could use that money better, I believe. And Robert is saying that even in the Netherlands they could use these in nights. Definitely. And you could also use these in some other uses, like for example if you have a fietsstraat, a bicycle street, to remind car drivers that the bicycles are the king over there, or the other way around, to remind bicycle riders that you are also allowed to drive cars there as long as you accommodate your behavior and speed to that of cyclists. And we've got Patrick here also. And Jeff is from Stevenson, Washington State. 10 a.m. local time, 70 degrees and sunny. And they can see snow. Wonderful. There is somebody cycling here. Let's continue a bit further. Also, my original idea for these projected signs was to mark on-street bicycle lanes with those, so as to remind both people cycling and people driving motor vehicles that there is a bicycle lane there under the snow. And I believe it would be possible somehow to incorporate a automatic parking control there, so that it would alert immediately if somebody parks their motor vehicle on a bicycle lane. Maybe you could do that. To my knowledge, none of that has been done yet anywhere in the world. So I would love to see that happen somewhere. So let me know what you think about those ideas, and you probably might even have further, even better ideas, so it would be nice to hear about them too. And got Smarkasm from Poznan, Poland. Welcome. We didn't have to stop. And the next one. This is already the fourth one. And for any new viewers, we are installing those projectors into lampposts, so it's right there underneath the light. There is a standard projector with a special lens that can display 2 traffic signs on the bicycle path surface. Just like that. Let's continue further. So this is one of my least favorite spots here because of the huge amount of traffic lights. I don't like this place at all, and usually I take a shortcut where there are no traffic lights at all. We just have to wait way too much here. I almost had to stop here. Can you imagine that? And as Robert is saying, bike lanes are often used as car service areas and parking, so good and clear signs projected could help. And yeah, imagine if that automatic parking control system could give an audible message, for example, or automatically alert the parking control, or maybe even just take photos and give automatic tickets like they do with speed control. The car traffic is so noisy. I don't like that at all. And then we've got one bike counter here. It's not too much traffic now, especially not over here because this is a bit unenjoyable location. It says 309 people cycling today and 331 walking because yeah, this is not really the most enjoyable place at all to cycle because of the huge amount of noise. Installing that, I don't know if it's plastic or glass, in between the drive lanes and the bike path, which makes huge difference. Yeah, Robert is saying that that the system should automatically call towing service to remove the car. Yeah, and of course send the bill to the owner. And once more we've got traffic lights and the radar has detected us. Oh, we can go. Again I had to stop, and always it's uncomfortable that you need to re-accelerate. Decelerate, stop, re-accelerate, re-accelerate. Not ideal. Michelle says they love the Underpass Lighting. I like that too. It was installed quite recently, last year or this year, I believe. And here the bicycle path surface isn't ideal. As you can see, there are small ruts here because they've just been removing snow from between the bike path and the driving lanes, and they haven't cleared up after them as well as they should. Well, it was rideable. Don't want to complain too much. Let's just continue a bit further. And sorry if I've missed some messages from the chat. I noticed that there were more than what I had time to answer to. So you can just send your messages again because I cannot, unfortunately, I can't rewind them as of now. Also, you can remember that this chat replay will be available on YouTube after the stream has ended, but it takes like 12 or 24 hours for the replay to become visible again. So that takes quite a while. Stop here, and we've got police over there. And they couldn't care less about anything. This is bending the rules a bit because that's actually a sidewalk. You're not allowed to ride your bike over there, but there is no good alternative to join from a bike path to this drive lane here, and then you are on pedestrian street here where cycling is allowed at the maximum speed of 20, and pedestrians have the priority. And we have another police car here. Maybe they have something to do in that shopping mall. Yeah. So that's a Finnish police car for you, saying police. So I still remember when I was in high school, this area here used to be a regular street, and I waited for bus many times over there in front of Ärkioski and Tokmanni/Anttila. But nowadays it's pedestrian area blocked with this mega mall called Valkea. Benjamin has a wonderful question in the chat. So what are some things that you can do in Oulu as a tourist besides admiring the bike paths? Well, besides admiring the bike paths, you can also ride them and you can walk them. Sometimes you can even ski them. But in Oulu, well, actually the most famous attraction of ours is the bike paths. Would you believe that? Many locals wouldn't believe that. And well, where should I start? I'll just add randomly here in the city center, which is heated. so that's why there's no snow here. We are using a centralized central heating system for the city center and suburbs and apartment buildings, which uses heated water from a heat power plant, and when the water is recycled and it's coming back from the places where you use it, we direct it this way so as not to waste too much energy. What can you do in Oulu as a tourist? I've never really been a tourist in Oulu, so it's a bit difficult to say. There's wonderful opportunities for cross-country skiing, mountain biking without any mountains. Of course, we don't even call it mountain biking, we would call it terrain biking, or all-terrain biking actually, literally in Finnish language. I'm not good at this. The sea is frozen, you can go to see the sea, and even walk or cycle ski to the nearby islands. There's a Nallikari camping area and a wonderful beach over there, which is actually not frozen in the summertime. They've got a wonderful spa and a camping site over there, and we've got lots of beautiful nature all around Oulu, even within the city, but especially outside the city. A couple of really beautiful national parks quite nearby. You should definitely visit those, at least. And Ryan saying that we have beer. What else do you need? Well, you need bikes, but I think that was covered already. So like I said to a random friend of mine, that when we were wondering about what to do, so it was just anything as long as it includes beer and maybe some grills, food, and going to stupid places and bicycles, then it's going to be good. Standing on the sea is a pretty cool attraction indeed, but if you want to stand on the sea, you'll quickly get cold unless you're dressed really properly. But yeah, speaking about standing on the sea, many people do sit on the sea as they are doing ice fishing, which is something I'm not that much of a fan myself, but I can understand the appeal depending on your lifestyle, of course. So if you're living a busy, hectic life, you can totally relax and forget everything when you just go there in the nothingness and sit for hours and drilling a hole in the 1 meter deep ice and try to catch some fish from there. That must be an interesting experience. You maybe try that. And as Jeff is saying, you can pull out your air guitar. That's correct. You know all the attractions and all the shows and events much better than I do. So yeah, Oulu hosts annually the World Championships of Air Guitar. They've been here for more than 20 years, I believe. A friend of mine was actually one of the first world champions when he was 17 years old, and he ended up touring around the world, even in Japan, and I don't remember all the places he would. They eat donuts in shopping mall. Oh yeah, the police, yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure you're correct there. These two buildings here are the city theater on the left and the city library on the right. And here we've got our first modern standard bicycle superhighway starting from here towards Linnanmaa area, where we've got our university campus. It's about 5.6 kilometers from here. And it's 1 kilometer shorter by bike than by car. And what is even better is that if you use this bicycle superhighway to go there from the city center to the university, there's only one set of traffic lights, and if you use a car or even a bus, you've got like 13. Do I remember correctly? Привет из России, город Екатеринburга. Uralski Velocourier. Great to have you here. Wonderful that we've got also visitors from the east. Is there fika in Finland? Now I remember having heard the word fika. I don't remember what that means, so please Rob, let me know what it means. I don't remember that. So this must be our fifth set of these. As you see, actually the projector under the light is creating a small shadow onto the surface. It doesn't actually look as dark in real life as it does here in the picture. And Matti is asking, Kakaya Koroda Yekaterinburg. Yekaterinburg is an interesting city. Yeah, it's I've been there 2, 3, 4 times. One of the cities which is competing for the place of being the third biggest city in Russia. And we've got Alana Cole from France. Good to have you here. Fika is Swedish coffee and cake breaks. Maybe. Breaks. Well, we've got a lot of coffee breaks. At least people are drinking coffee all the time. And we are actually by far the #1 most coffee consumption nation. And I believe we consume like 12, 13 kilograms of coffee per person per year. Whereas the next one on the list has like 8 or 9. Don't remember that. And we got Jani here also. Good to have you here. And he's saying that it's good to have a beer in Oulu because we have one of the Finland's best breweries in here. That is correct. Well, what do I know? I don't like beer. Let's continue towards the university. It says Linnanmaa 5.4 kilometers, which you can't see because one of the lights is out now. In Yekaterinburg it seems to be -13 Celsius, comfortable for biking, so it's exactly the same temperature as we have here in Oulu. It's -13 now. In the morning it was -30. So it's much warmer, so it feels almost like a summer holiday now. There's surprisingly a lot of lights out now here, so Dunic, the company who is responsible for this, they should do their job. Of course somebody could help and report those dead lights for them. Do we have Brandon here and Brandon's cat? Brandon from USA, their cat can type Finnish on keyboard, so they could actually report all the dead lights in our reporting service, where you can online report everything that's wrong in the city. And these are old bridges, almost 40 years old. And even if we have those bridges on the right hand side, they were built in 1940s. We still managed to build a set of these bridges in 80s, when it was really difficult to get any funding for any bicycle infrastructure. We still managed to build these to cross the river delta. Yeah, so much more comfortable than going out up there with the cars. Here we have a bit more people cycling. 652 now. 656, what am I talking for today? But yeah, some of you might know Finland has entered a partial lockdown 2 days ago. So we are not in it's not the busiest day now, not indeed. People can still go out, there's no restrictions to going out, and we have a limitation of 6 people meetings, gatherings, instead of 10 or 20 that what they used to be earlier. The restaurants are closed, they can sell takeaway food, click and collect. So we've got the next spot over there. Let's stop there for a second. And put the bike away. And Patrick is asking, do I know how those counters work? I do. So there's both an optical detector and a magnetic induction loop. So that way we can differentiate between people walking and cycling. So when there's a person walking and crossing, breaking the optical beam there, infrared or whatever it is, the person walking will just trigger the optical one, but the person cycling will trigger both one, the magnetic one and the optical one. So that way we can differentiate between people walking and cycling. I hope that answered your question. And Ryan is saying that over there they just opened things up a bit more this week. Interesting. Our situation still isn't too bad here. I heard that yesterday we had like 22 new reported cases here in Oulu, which is a city of about 206,001 people living here. Why did I mount a Nokia on my handlebar? Triadi is asking. No, it's not actually not a Nokia. It might look like a Nokia though, but it is actually a Garmin. Like that. I'm a GPS addict, so I need to have a GPS track from everywhere where I cycle. So Onizi is asking if two people side by side will count as one. Well, basically yes, if they are like totally side by side, it's possible that that will happen. And then again, we do some manual calibrations. So we count both manually and check what the machines say, and then calibrate the machines to take into account that possible error over there. Yeah, as Robert is saying, it's probably a GPS, so indeed it is. And Rob is asking if the induction loops work for carbon bikes. It depends. Carbon bikes also have some metal usually, like the chain and maybe sometimes even the wheels and spokes and the cassette and bearings and so on. So you can actually adjust the sensitivity of the induction loops. So when I've tried with carbon bikes, I think it's registered every single time, but theoretically it's possible that some old carbon bike might not register, but that is such a small number of that kind of bikes compared to all the bikes passing every year, so it just vanishes into the margin of error. And if you had some more questions, I might have missed them, so please let me know again. Meanwhile, we can have a look at the 6th one of these sets. It's interesting how it looks like now with my gimbal here. And Robert is saying that some of those detectors also work on their carbon velomobile. Yeah, there we go. They should. And sometimes I was riding my old 1950s cargo bike, which is all steel and heavy as fuck who knows what. It weighs 48 kilos and one of the detectors didn't actually count it. Maybe it believed it was a car, or just an error that no bicycle can be that heavy. Yeah, and Rob is saying that the signs would be a great value on streets that are also bike routes. A common situation in most cities. It would be more visible to cars, especially at night. Indeed, it would be. Then again, if there's a lot of car traffic, you should invest the money for separate bicycle infrastructure, safe bicycle infrastructure. When there's not too much car traffic and or the speeds are low, then it could be a really good alternative, because you do not need separated bicycle infrastructure always when it's otherwise safe enough. Alana is asking if I know the average ratio of bike use to car use in Oulu versus other European countries. Well, the modal share, that's a long story. So the modal share, the share of all trips made by a mean of transport, for example bicycle, of all trips here in Oulu, it's about 22%. So 22% of all trips in Oulu are made by bicycle. But for car, it's 54%, so quite a lot. Public transportation is really poor here. Well, you can get to places, and it's not that expensive anymore. But for example, I've used a bus here once during the last 7 years. This bicycle is usually much faster for me, but for other people it might be totally different. Anyway, there's so many different definitions to modal share and so many different methods of calculating it. So for example, oftentimes some cities which boast huge cycling numbers like 50% or 65% or whatever, they only count the commutes and not all trips. Also, it depends greatly whether you count only the trips made within the city or also from and to outside the city. And for example, I believe, I'm not sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Netherlands, for example, doesn't include walking trips into 100% when all the other modes are respectively higher. So you get bigger numbers that way. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. And the area of Oulu geographically is huge. So that also does not favor cycling at all. It's 85 kilometers from east to west, and most of that area is just uninhabited swamp and forest where nobody lives. So distances over there are long, and many people understandably use a car. And not too much wrong in that. When you don't have any other options and when you have long distances, go ahead. But if we count like the inner city or the urban area, bicycle modal share is closer to 29-30% here in Oulu. So it is quite a bit higher here when you take the urban area. Still, we have way too much urban sprawling and other problems related to car use and low density residential areas and so on. Not as bad as in many other cities around the world, but things could be so much better here too. Anyway, you can reach every place in the city by bicycle, usually safely, comfortably, and oftentimes, depending on the distance, much faster than by any other mean of transportation. One is, and here we've got the original one. So this is the first one that we installed like, I don't know, half years ago, 1 year ago. It's been quite a while. This one's been here for quite a while, and up till very recently this was still the only one. And it seems to work really well still. Only problem that we've had with these is that some kind of weather conditions may start to develop some fog or frozen fog into the lens of the projector, and then these markings start to fade a bit, so they are not as clearly visible and there's less contrast. That's the only problem we've encountered so far. And even that problem I know I've only seen like 1 or 2 times. So maybe we do need to install some heaters in them or something. Yes, Alana, indeed, it's modal share with an A instead of E, modal. You're welcome. Rob is saying that the modal share in Vancouver is currently about 8%. That's pretty good for an American city. Not bad at all. I thought it would have been a bit less over there. I'm happy to hear that it's 8%. But then again, depending on the way it's counted. Who knows? Maybe you do. So now we've seen 7 of those projected signs. 3 more to go. I hope that we will have enough battery to see them all. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of snow here. This snowbank here is it's probably 2 meters high. Yes, like Robert is saying, it's a known problem with LED. They don't heat up that much. Older lights produce more heat, but they are less economical indeed. So our counters are included with heating systems, so they should work at least down to -40. It hasn't been that cold here yet in Oulu during the time they've been here, which is less than 1 year, apart from all them but one. I think the coldest that they've experienced so far is about -32, -35 maybe. And so far no problems with cold weather, so maybe we do need to install something similar to those projectors as well, if those problems persist. And there we go, Rob. As Rob is saying that the 8% model share is just for Vancouver City, not the metropolitan area. And well, meanwhile, here we've got one more set of these. So this is the 8th one. And Patrick's saying is Los Angeles is 85% for cars and 1% for cycling. At least you know the cycling share. I recall visiting Moscow, and they were trying to find out the model share for the first time ever, and it was like 0.1 or 0.01. Can't remember. It's a bit higher now, I believe. Not sure. Maybe Uralska Velocourier can provide me with better and more up-to-date data. Matti is saying that there's also 8% bicycle model share in Tampere, Finland too. Yeah. So in wintertime we've got about 12 or 10 depending on the study. So people cycle more in Oulu in the wintertime than what they do in Tampere in the summertime, or in Helsinki in the summertime. Barely, but still. But the winter model share in Tampere or Helsinki drops down to 1%, which is about the same as in Los Angeles. Here you can also see some of the red coating. So this kind of red coating, we install that to some places which require special attention. So it's more visible to people walking, people cycling and people driving motor vehicles. And as Robert is saying, just like in the Netherlands, if you build more bicycle infrastructure, people will use more and more bikes, as it often is the most enjoyable. Exactly. And as I oftentimes say, there's 3 keys to success. If you want people to do something, you need to make it fast, easy and comfortable. And people will use that. And it doesn't really even need to be that. It's enough if people think it's fast, easy and comfortable. Like, who the hell wants to drive a car in Moscow? They think it's fast, they think it's comfortable. But when you're going, I think I heard that the average motor traffic speed in Moscow is 11 kilometers per hour. How can that be fast or comfortable? People just think it is. Triadi is asking how often do bikes get stolen in Oulu. And they parked a $200 bike under a government camera and still got stolen in the safe city of Singapore. Yeah, there is quite a lot of bicycle theft in Oulu. But also a lot of our bikes, what people use or what are stolen, are so-called POS bikes, piece of shit. Anything that moves, takes you from A to B, just regular bikes. So it's a bit of the same situation as in Netherlands, where the lock is oftentimes more expensive than the bike. But to be honest, many people still and only just use the cheapest possible wire locks, which cost like 1 or 2 euros, and you can cut them with regular scissors. And we still have... oh no, too late. Not gonna go there. So this is the only set of traffic lights on this bicycle superhighway between the city center and the university. And as Matti is saying, the infrastructure is very crucial to cycling, indeed. And it's not... it's the quality of infrastructure and not just the bare amount. So many cities in the world have had like official goals of having 200, 300, x 100 kilometers of bicycle paths, and then they can just make crap and market, tell people that that's a bicycle path, and say that they've now invested in cycling. No, it's the quality that matters. Here is the... I'm losing the count. Was that number 8 or 9? Do you remember? I don't remember anymore. And Robert is saying that their bike got stolen in front of a police station. I'm sorry for laughing. But yeah. Like, how arrogant do you need to be able to steal a bike from in front of a police station? Or maybe they just think that nobody would ever be so arrogant as to do that. So maybe that's actually safe to do. Yeah, and as Patrick is saying, the people would not use cars if car infrastructure would suck. Exactly. Totally agree there. Walking model share in Tampere 37 and Oulu 22. That's a big difference indeed. Interesting. Yeah, it could be about right. But yeah, cycling here is so much more comfortable, so much faster. And he's saying, Matti is also saying that people in Tampere would probably at least cycle many of the trips they do now by walking or by car or by public transportation if the infrastructure would be something similar to what it is in Oulu. And David, the scientist, is asking the question of every single live stream. Not actually, last live stream nobody asked what tires I'm using, just whatever is on the bike. So this is just regular summer tires with small knobs on them, nothing to do with winter. It's not even a mountain bike tires. These, I believe, are actually gravel tires, but on some of my other bikes it's not even gravel, it's just semi-slick or just slick regular tires like they use in Oppa Feeds and Oma Feeds, the granny bikes and grandpa bikes in Netherlands. They are perfectly fine on this snowy surface that we have here. And Robert is saying that Oulu has done a great job keeping the clean cycle tracks. Yeah, usually that's the case. So here you can see this bike path, which is 5.6 meters wide, 3.5 for people cycling, 2 for people walking. And the surface is so good to ride. You can just ride one-handed on this single speed upright coaster brake bike. It's wonderful. So there's definitely no need for studded tires here. Studded tires are only good for ice, and there's no ice now. For anything else, studded tires are usually just extra weight, extra rolling resistance, and just extra trouble. Then again, nothing wrong if you want to use them, go ahead. So whatever makes you feel more comfortable when you're cycling, whatever makes you cycle, just go for it. I'll just stop for a second. 2 of my fingers are freezing. So this is the downside of cycling one-handed with a gimbal. Makes your fingers really cold. I need to warm them up a bit. Fucking hell. I guess it's getting a bit colder also. Maybe, hopefully. I really hope it's going to be good winter conditions for a long time still. Say here. Rob is asking if it's only 2. Yeah, in this part there's not so much people walking. Maybe we could use 2.5, I don't know. But in some places 2 meters is definitely not enough for people walking. But here I believe it is. Then again, 5.6 meters. Building a 5.6 meter bicycle path was a bit of a difficult sell. No, not really, but it would have been even a bit more difficult probably to sell it as 6.6 meters wide, like we do them nowadays. But as this was the first one that we ever made, we needed to start from something. So the new bicycle superhighways are only 2 fingers freezing. I was thinking for quite a lot of time that what was it 2, and I just didn't remember that I was speaking about my fingers. It's actually the middle fingers that are freezing, not the others. Interesting. And as Triad is saying, it's only -14 now in Oulu, and they think that the coldest days are over. It could be so. I hope not. It is not actually really common to have those temperatures in March that we just had this morning. So today morning we had like -32 in Oulu, but it quickly warmed up when the sun was rising. And in the daytime it was just like -10, and now it's going back a bit colder again. During the night it's -14, as Triad is saying. Yes, indeed it was about the fingers, 2 fingers only freezing, but you heard a pretty good rant also about the width of the bicycle superhighway. So good to ride here. Wow, that's not wise. You should never do that, even though it's quite fun. So I believe we've seen 9 of them now, the projected signs. And there should be 1 more. We are almost now at the university area. One important point here in making good quality infrastructure is also illumination. As you can hopefully see here, the illumination here is quite good. The camera is giving us much more contrast than there actually is. This is pretty well illuminated, but it's not as dark outside as it looks, at least on my screen. Yeah, I was surprised actually to learn that many bike paths around the world are not illuminated, which is sad, as it really prevents some people from cycling, walking, using those paths. So as I believe this is the last one, let's park the bike here for a second. Go. And we've got the bike. This one, what a beautiful one it is. But who cares about bikes? Well, I do. But we've got these, which is the theme of the day. I believe this is the 10th one, 10th set. We've been podcasting now for 1 hour and 2 minutes. And if you're new here and you didn't hear the previous explanations, there's a projector installed here in a lamppost underneath the street light or the bike path light. Maybe you can barely see it there. It's right there. And it has a special lens so that with one projector we can project these two signs onto the snowy surface so that people can remember on which side they are supposed to be on this divided bicycle superhighway. And well, you can't call it, you can call it sidewalk, I guess. I just don't like the word sidewalk at all. It's like push them, those people who are walking, push them to the side like they are of less importance, whereas the pedestrian, the people walking, I don't even like the word pedestrian. It's like some special type of a being, like a different species. We all use our feet, or at least almost all use our feet to walk. At least sometimes, I hope. Some more, some a bit less. So I just oftentimes talk about people walking, people cycling, people doing whatever they want to. Fiddle with my gloves again. As for now, we've ridden 12 kilometers, but I had like 1 or 2 before we started. Emmanuel is asking for non-divided multi-use paths. Where are people on foot expected to walk? So the road code or the traffic code says that they should keep onto the side. So usually on these paths they should go onto the right side, but they can use the other side as well. Whereas people cycling cannot. They always need to use the right side, and that may create some small conflicts sometimes. It's not a big problem, but especially here in Oulu, where there's so many people walking and so many people cycling here, that people walking also know to expect people cycling, so they do not block the whole path usually, and almost everybody who walks also cycles at times. And Rob is asking if they've decided to build out the signage system, or is it still experimental? Do you mean the projected signs or regular signs? Regular signs, we installed 5,500 signs, new signs, the year before last year. It was a big project. So these. And as for the projected signs, I don't really know. So it's still maybe an experiment, but at least when we are building our new bicycle superhighways, we've got our master plan for these, like building about 70 to 90 kilometers of new bicycle superhighways in the city by the year 2030. So I think as for now the plan is to include these onto all of those bicycle superhighways. And as David is saying, in the UK they say pavement, but in North America that means the road. Yeah. It's difficult sometimes. Pavement, sidewalk, whatever. We call it jalkakäytävä, which is like a foot passage or foot corridor, you could also say. And in Netherlands they call the footways stoep. Can you translate that literally to something? Let's still cycle a bit, otherwise I'll get too cold. I don't have too much clothing on. I guess you wanted to know that. And in German they call it Gehweg, which literally means walkway. I like that. And cycle path is speed spot. Yeah, indeed, in Dutch. Pronounced more like stoop, but with shorter U sound also, stoop. So what does it literally mean? Stoop. And once again, an underpass. And that darkness ahead of us is the university area. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna go somewhere else. While we still have some battery left. I hope so, at least. Let's just go somewhere. Because the bicycle path system in our city is so extensive that you can just improvise all the time. Let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. We have wonderful discussion in the chat now about pronunciation of different pavement, sidewalk, footway, leg corridor kind of terms. Wonderful underpasses and some wind. Whoa! I wonder if you can hear the wind. I definitely can can hear it and feel it as well. Yeah, wonderful headwind. No wonder it was so comfortable to ride from south to north. But now that I need to ride back south, well, at least I'll get warm. I hope so. And as Robert is saying, wind is as the same as Dutch mountains. Indeed. And I got to love the headwind cycling championships that you have in the Netherlands. And Rob is asking if bike trailers are common or not. They are actually quite common here. They are much more common than cargo bikes here yet. So a lot of people take their kids to daycare with a trailer and also use them for groceries and so on. But it's 8 p.m. now. Oh no, it's more than 9 p.m. So not so many people around anymore. Need to warm up a couple of fingers again a bit. Switching hands. So now I'm using the gimbal with my left hand. I bet you also wanted to know that. And now we're going to pass under a national highway. I believe at this place there's like 6 lanes. Way too much. And as Triad is saying, wind is the biggest pain when they are on bicycle. Yeah, I'm sure it oftentimes is. This underpass is pretty well lit. It's an old one. I believe this is from 70s, 60s, could be 60s even. But they have installed new LED lights there after that. And Robert's saying that the headwind contest that they have is with basic no gears bike, yeah, and 6 buffers of headwind, whatever that means in metric units. The wind is really picking up. Yeah, Patrick, as you're saying, I need a clamp to mount the gimbal on my bike. Yeah, because this is a handheld gimbal, so I've got this grip. So I would really need a holster or something where I can just put the gimbal momentarily, and so that I could just fiddle whatever I want to with my hands. Well, that sounded wrong, didn't it? You can see the smoke on the background. It's actually steam from the heat power plant, I guess. Or it could be smoke, I don't know. So we definitely do have headwind now. And Emmanuel is asking how windy is it typically in Oulu. Yeah, they always say that it's quite windy in Oulu. Probably not as windy as in the Netherlands. But we also say that there's always wind from 3 directions in Oulu. So when you're going, you have the headwind. When you're coming back, you have the headwind. And in addition to those two, it's always blowing from the sea. So we always have wind coming from 3 directions. Yeah, the wind really makes a difference. So I'm almost feeling cold on my face now. I might need to stop and warm up a bit in a moment. Let's stop here for a second. It's a wonderful bike path over there, and gotta love this street art. Let's stop here for a second and park the bike. Oh, the double kickstand is getting blocked by something. No, what's wrong? Oh, there we go. I need to service that. So as you see the bike has a double kickstand, and it's from 1937, so it might be a bit rusty. Now let's go this way. The gimbal is acting up again a bit. Let's try to set it like this. Are there any Finnish bike brands? Rob is asking. Yes, there are. So there's Jopo, which is probably the most famous one. Comes from jokaisen polkupyörä, everybody's bicycle. So it's almost like Volkswagen. Then there's Helkama and Tunturi and what else? There's probably there used to be in the 50s, 60s, still there used to be hundreds of them. Every little bike shop in every village used to have their own bicycle brand. Now just a moment, I'll mute the mic for a second. And I'm back. See what the... Wow! It says that we've still got 53% of battery left in the phone. That sounds amazing. Can it really be? In the morning I was able to do 1.5 hours with the battery. Then again, it was colder indeed. But I was expecting that we would have like 20% of battery left at this time. Now I need to fiddle again a bit with my gloves. So sorry for a possible shake. So yeah, today I was also taking some 360-degree aerial panoramas with my drone, and I was doing them today because tomorrow it should be also sunny and beautiful, but much more windy than today. Over there you see from the smoke that it is really getting windy. So I'd better continue. Let's continue riding. Rob needs to go. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you here. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll still continue cycling for at least a moment. There's a bus, so we do have buses, we do have public transportation. There you saw the proof. Now there's again a dead light. Quite a lot of these. Please let me know any updates about that. I'm just relocating now. The message disappeared. Let's go to the left from here. I hope the connection is back. So please let me know whenever the connection is back, whether the sound is okay, whether the picture is okay. Would be greatly appreciated. And here you can also see how much snow we've had. So we've been pushing the snow further and further away from the bike paths, from the roads, so that when it starts to melt, it will go, the water will go to the left and not onto the bike path and cause trouble there. And Manuel is saying that it looks and sounds good. Thank you so much. I think I will go to the other side. That side has a better bike path. That one was fine too, but this one's even better. And it's our main road number 1. So we have 12 radial routes from the city center, numbered clockwise. So this route number 1 is going from the city center up north, and I'm now routing it back south towards the city center. Plus those 12, in addition to those 12 ones, we've got some circular routes and regional routes which are also numbered. And there are some tight spots here, like you see here. They've recently transported snow away from here, as there's just absolutely no space for the snow here. Let's change hands again. Yeah, it is getting colder because Garmin is saying that device is approaching minimum operating temperature, and the device will power off if it gets too cold. And these devices should be like durable and good for polar expeditions and so on, but I really don't think so, at least with this device. That is, in my opinion, that's appalling performance. Otherwise, that device is quite good, but how it performs in cold weather, not good at all. can you hear the wind sound? Or wind noise? It's biting into my face, lovely. This probably feels like minus 25 or something. It is only minus 15 as it says over there. Minus 15. But with the wind chill, and especially with us cycling towards the wind and the headwind, it probably is like minus 25 or so. Maybe colder, maybe warmer, who knows. Not really, says Jeff. I hope that was about the wind noise. At least earlier this external microphone with the wind protection has been quite good. So I hope it still is. Then again, I don't think that I have had a live stream in such a strong headwind yet. I mean, in the morning it was minus 26, minus 27. Now it's minus 15 only, but it feels much colder. Interesting. Because when I started from my home it was minus 12, minus 13, and felt almost like a summer holiday. Thanks, Jeff, for confirming. Yes, happy to hear that. I really need to soon warm up my face again. Yes, as they're saying in the chat, Pole is also a Finnish bike brand. I don't know if you are from Finland or you know Finnish, but you should say that Pole. I don't actually know, but that's how you would pronounce it if it would be a Finnish word. Pole could be a dialectional word, dialect word for pedaling, an imperative form telling somebody to pedal. Then again, in English, we all know what pole means. Fucking hell. Oh, they've been transporting some snow away from here. Surface isn't too good. That's what you get when you use cheap companies to do this. This is unrideable, fucking hell. No. That should not happen. Need to report that. I almost got warm already. From the anger of that poor maintenance. Well, the maintenance here has been really good, but there's been a separate company probably removing the snow, and they haven't cleaned up properly. Not approved. Well, it was still rideable with one hand, so not a complete catastrophe, but it should be much better. It's not good for people with challenges in their mobility. Definitely no. We still got 2.9 kilometers to the city center on the route number 1. And one more underpass. Wow, the wind is really strong now. Can somebody check what is the wind speed in all now? Both the average wind and the wind gusts. I need to really stop for a moment again to warm up my face. I don't want to get frostbites. Meanwhile, you can look at that underpass. Is the picture out of focus? Maybe a bit. No. Warming up my fingers a bit again. Sorry for the shake, comes from fiddling with my gloves. I should really have the holster or something for my bike. 11 kilometers per hour, wind gusts 11 kilometers per hour. That can't be true. It's much stronger than that. And then I'm just cycling too fast. No. Anyway, thanks Emmanuel for finding that one out. If that's true, then I'm just not qualified to live in Oulu anymore. If I feel cold from that, just a tiny amount of wind. And Triad is saying 16 kilometers per hour, gusts 34. Gust 34, that would be like almost 10 meters per second. That could be, maybe. Yeah, so for some reason in Finnish forecasts we oftentimes talk about wind speed in meters per second, not kilometers per hour. Definitely not knots or miles per hour. There should be this one nice spot in a couple of 100 meters. So I might stop for a second. So here you can also see how thin the hardback snow layer is. So in the center there's already some asphalt visible, and even in the edges sometimes, so it's probably much less than 1 centimeter. Oftentimes people are asking what happens in springtime when the snow starts to melt. Well, when there's such a thin layer of the snow, it's usually no problem at all, so it's easy to scrape it off. And even if you wouldn't do that right away, it wouldn't be a disaster because there's such a small amount of it left. So what I'll do now is I'll stop here for a sec. Warm up. If I can just park my bike. Seems difficult. There's really something wrong now with the kickstand. How's that? So if you're feeling cold, you can always go to the gym. What should we do here? No, I won't do that. There's a bit of snow here, so it's maybe a bit difficult to use the stepper. Wonder if it works. Oh, it's stuck. That wouldn't be nice. How about this one? This works. Oh. It's 1.5 hours now, and I think I'm going to need my both hands. So maybe I will quit the stream here. Now you've seen all the projected signs, 10 of them now. I hope we will get some more in the future, and I hope you like them. Hope you like this stream also. So let's do it that way. It's not even cold here now. So thank you everybody who joined me today, and I hope to see you in the next stream. Please like and share and comment and subscribe and whatever, you know, all these cliches. And also you can comment onto the regular comment section, not only the chat. The chat messages will be visible in like 12 or 24 hours after the stream has ended, so it takes a bit for the YouTube to process it. So thank you everybody who watched it, and have a nice day. Cheers.